this just in, corporations are using AI to secretly take more of your money without you even knowing it. That's why Congressman Greg Casar is introducing a new bill to help curtail AI and push back against surveillance pricing. Congressman, can you tell us what surveillance pricing is and how it affects everyday Americans?
This is a way that corporations can be taking even more of your money that you don't know about yet. So I'm sorry if this ruins your day, but companies like Delta Airlines just announced that they are going from pricing 3% of their tickets using AI to pricing 20% of their tickets using AI. And when you pair AI with the massive amount of private data that's being collected on you all the time, you can wind up with some terrible results. Like an airline knowing that you just Googled funeral arrangements and knowing that you're trying to get to a family funeral and then charging you more for an airline ticket. Or reports that some of these rideshare companies could be tracking how much battery there is on your phone. And so they might charge somebody that's got plenty of battery a little bit less, but as your battery gets down to 2% and know you're desperate, they can screw you and price gouge you for more money. Even worse, it sounds like they're starting to consider using this a lot more to push down people's wages through what I want to make illegal wage fixing, in which they say, oh, you're a DoorDash delivery person or a rideshare driver, and these apps know where you've been, and they know you've been to a pawn shop recently because maybe you've hit a rough patch. I think it should be illegal for these apps to offer you a lower wage because they know that you're desperate. So my bill would ban price gouging and wage fixing through the use of artificial intelligence. AI should be trying to make our lives better. It shouldn't be used to screw us over.
So you're telling me that at a time when wealth inequality is already at an all-time high in this country, corporate billionaires are making record profits while AI is already being used to replace American jobs, we now have corporations using AI to take even more money from our pockets without us even knowing sometimes?
This is something that is already happening to us, and you may not even know it. The Federal Trade Commission just put out a report that this practice is becoming more and more widespread. I know we've talked about airlines, we've talked about ride-sharing apps, but this could be happening everywhere. Colorado lawmakers recently proposed a state law to do this. And in talking with some of them, they were shocked with the kinds of corporations that were coming out in support of AI price fixing. That is, they don't want to ban the practice, they wanted to spread it. They were saying, even Chick-fil-A was saying, no, we want to be able to price things using AI. I think that's pretty scary for us. And that's why I've put forward the first ever federal proposal to just outright ban price gouging using AI and your personal data. Because before this spreads like wildfire all across the economy, we just need to call it out and say that that is illegal.
And let's say you're just a regular, American, you work a good job, you're trying to pay for things. How would you even know that your money is being price gouged? Or how would you even know you're being underpaid because of an AI algorithm? Will there be more transparency because of this bill?
You wouldn't know it. And these things are so secretive. So we've got to pull these practices out from the darkness and into the light if we want to start solving this problem. And I personally am not just interested in how it is they're price gouging us. I want to ban it entirely. And look, everyday Americans already know to some extent that we're being spied on and screwed over in this way, right? Every time you open up an app, now it feels like you're agreeing to God knows how many privacy agreements. And every website, you can't even go and check the weather without having to agree to some kind of cookie policy. And what everyday people have asked me is what is all that for? And at the end of the day, it seems like more and more of this intelligence gathering on us is for finding out when you're in a tricky situation and they can charge you like they've never charged you before or pay you less. And so even if you've got a good paying job and you're middle class and doing all right, we already know folks are trying to open up incognito windows to go buy tickets to the game because everybody already has a sense that they're watching you. And instead of having everybody trying to dodge this stuff and figure out how to not get screwed over, why don't we just put it on the corporations to say these corporations can no longer use artificial intelligence to try to squeeze every last penny out of you?
To me, this doesn't feel like a left versus right, Democrat versus Republican issue. This feels like an up versus down issue. The American people versus, the wealthy billionaires that want to take more money. What kind of bipartisan support are you expecting when you start bringing this in front of Congress?
I really hope to earn significant bipartisan support on this bill, but we will wait and see. I've heard a lot of talk from Republicans about taking on big tech, but I have not seen a lot of work when it comes to standing up for the American consumer against big tech profits. And so I'm not going to hold my breath, but my hope is that we get more significant rather than just sort of a little bit of token Republican support. We'll put it out there because I think that progressive and conservative and independent and libertarian voters all support this kind of measure. And what we will learn soon is whether some of those more conservative Congress people will follow their voters or sort of stick with where the lobbyists are. Look, let me tell you, I also believe that on the Democratic Party side, we've got some cleaning up to do in this area. And so I've been advocating for Democratic members of Congress to be willing to get uninvited from some fancy dinners, but then actually champion our voters and champion everyday people. I think that's the path forward for the Democratic Party, to be pro-consumer and pro-worker and anti-billionaire.
Lastly, if people watching this can only take one thing away from this, what's the most dystopian example of surveillance pricing you can think of, and what do you fear could happen if this doesn't get stopped?
What I fear most is, of course, it's really dystopian to think about, somebody Google searching a family member's obituary and then suddenly hotel prices in that city go way up. I mean, that's just terrifying in an individual example. But what scares me the most is this becoming the norm, where at some point everybody goes, well, that's just the way it is. But right now we remember that it's not actually the way it is or has to be. And so that's why it's so important to say this should be banned from the onset and try to stop this before it spreads like wildfire. So you may not have heard of this problem yet, but now that you have, I think really important to call your representatives to talk about this work. And it's interconnected with the bigger fight around how billionaires keep screwing up every different part of your life, whether you're just trying to buy a ticket to a game to take your kids to, or go to the grocery store, or whether you're getting kicked off of your health care. All of these things are interconnected with the people with the most money shouldn't be the folks that are dictating to representatives how to run the government. The voters are the ones who should be doing that.
Congressman, thank you so much for the time, and thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thanks a lot.
Folks, thanks so much for tuning into this edition of the Progressive Pulse. Please like and share this video to amplify its message. Subscribe for free. Link is in the description to all my other socials. Really appreciate you guys. Stay vigilant and fight the fascist Trump regime.